The Freemen were not militia. They were something else altogether, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the Republic of Texas is just a bunch of lunatics. And I've got to tell you, I've fully investigated that movement, and they're stark raving mad. Those people went off the deep end a long time ago. Almost everything that they've told the public or put out as documentation has been false, phony, wrong. They have no approval by the World Court or any of the stuff that they've been telling everybody that they have. It's just not true. This next one. How many of you have ever really examined what you call money? The Federal Reserve notes that you carry around in your pocket. If you look on any one of them, it says, quote, Federal Reserve note, end quote. And it says $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and going up from there to a certain limit. But not too long ago, we ran a big article on this in Veritas, front page article as a matter of fact, showing how money started out being real and progressed over the years to be changed into worthless, counterfeit, nothing paper. See, not too many years ago, the same paper bore the words, quote, payable to the bearer on demand, end quote. So these notes apparently at some point ceased to be payable on demand, and yet they are still notes and circulate as money. At least as long as you believe that it's money. It's really not. It's just a piece of paper. Now, if you don't understand that, take a $1 bill and a $100 bill, put them down on your kitchen table, and tell me the difference between the two. I defy you. You can't. And if there's no difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill, ladies and gentlemen, then you've been defrauded, you've been fooled, you've been lied to, you've been deceived, and you're being manipulated every time you use it. It's the truth. It's causing us to lose literally everything we own, not to mention our freedoms and our country. It's just part of it, but it's a major part. What is the significance of these following statements, ladies and gentlemen? See, if you don't believe me, then what does this mean? In Don E. Williams Company versus the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, 429 United States Supreme Court, 569, 1997, the court ruled, and I quote, notes cannot pay debt, debt cannot pay debt, end quote. The Supreme Court confirmed what I've been telling you for years. If you can't pay debt with a note, and you can't pay debt with debt, which is what a note is, and if the note that you're trying to pay it with isn't even really a note, because it doesn't redeem anything, you can't call it for anything, then what have you got in your pocket?
Nada.
As I've tried to explain to you over the years, that's why you have, instead of a patent title to your property, you have a warrant deed. Or instead of a patent title to your automobile, you have a certificate of title. Both of which just signify that a title exists, but you don't have it because you're not really the owner. You don't own it because you never paid for it. See, somewhere along the line, somebody has to pay for it. You didn't do it. It really belongs to the state. Someday the state, when socialism gains complete power, and pulls up that blindfold and lets everybody see what's really going on, you won't be able to own anything. You'll be able to lease it maybe for a few years, or borrow it, or rent it, but you will not be able to own it. Because that's the nature of socialism, communism. That's who's in charge right now. And the White House is one of the biggest lying, deceiving, communist, Marxist, socialists that probably ever lived. William Jefferson Clinton. Oh boy. He likes to say that his party is the Jefferson Party. The truth is, Jefferson was a Republican, if you'll study your history, and Jefferson warned us against people like William Jefferson Clinton. Just read what he wrote. He was clear about it. And here's the second one. This was New York versus New York County, 7 Wall 26, 19L ER 60. Quote, any note which is intended to circulate as money, but which is not currently payable on demand, would be exempt from taxation, end quote. And I read you that case site wrong. Let me correct it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Bank of New York versus New York County, 7 Wall 26, 19L period, capital ER 60. How about that? That ought to keep some of you busy for just a little while. Don't you think? This is from the Executive Intelligence Review, the Washington Insider, Volume 6, Number 24, June 12, 1997. The McVeigh trial demonstrates, quote, there is very little justice in the United States, end quote. You see, I'm not the only person out here who understands what's going on. The Executive Intelligence Review, Washington Insider. On June 2nd, the federal jury in Denver that was deliberating on the April 1995 Oklahoma City bombing case found the first defendant, Timothy McVeigh, guilty of murder and conspiracy. Beginning June 3rd, the same jury began to hear evidence and information upon which they will decide whether McVeigh should be executed. And folks, I have to tell you that today the defense rested, and it will probably go to the jury sometime this afternoon or tomorrow. The crucial question is, back to the argument, the crucial question is, will defense attorneys be able to present some of the evidence that was not presented at the main trial, showing that McVeigh could not have been the mastermind of the bombing and pointing towards a wider conspiracy? Particularly ironical in view of McVeigh's being convicted of conspiracy is that federal judge Richard Mash put severe limitations on the defense's right to present evidence that would point to McVeigh's being part of a wider conspiracy, declaring that defense claims to this effect were irrelevant and therefore inadmissible. Mash blocked lawyer Stephen Jones from the kind of broad-based discovery that he had requested, respecting data in U.S. government files on international terrorist groups. McVeigh's lawyers were not in a position to effectively exploit the issue of FBI mistakes in handling vital forensic evidence. As we reported shortly after the bombing, neither McVeigh nor his co-defendant Terry Nichols, nor anyone they were known to have been in touch with in the Army and afterwards, had the engineering and demolition skills to create a truck bomb capable of leveling the Murrah building. Even if, as some have contended, the building was blown up by the truck bomb, plus other shape charges planted inside the building itself, the conclusion remains that McVeigh and Nichols could not have done it alone. These are vital issues that go beyond the question of whether or not McVeigh was involved in the plot in some way. There are some significant leads that never came up at the trial, but which are known to both the government and the defense. These include the mysterious trips that Terry Nichols made to the Philippines in the year preceding the bombing. There are leads suggesting that Nichols may have had links to the Abu Sayyaf group, an Afghazi terrorist apparatus operating in the Philippines, with ties to terrorist bankroller Osama bin Laden. There are also indications that McVeigh has been linked to a Christian Identity Church, British Israelite compound at Elohim City. Well, I barely got through that and turned down the pot before I just let out one of the biggest sneezes I've ever had in my life. And I mean, just barely made it. If I'd have sneezed into this microphone, it would have destroyed the microphone, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what that little pause was all about. I continue with the article. Oklahoma, which is part of what might be described as the let me back up here. Got out of the sentence. There are also indications that McVeigh has been linked to a Christian Identity Church, British Israelite compound at Elohim City, Oklahoma, which is part of what might be described as the Neo-Nazi International. He placed a phone call to the compound in the days before the Oklahoma City bombing. Now I gotta kind of decide here, I really object to this word compound. Anybody that the press or anybody who's writing nowadays doesn't like, all of a sudden their home becomes a compound, or their city becomes a compound. In the case of the Freeman, it was their farm. All of a sudden their farm was a compound. In Waco, their church and their home was a compound. And that's just not right. It's part of propagandizing and demonizing of people. I don't know if these Elohim City people were involved. I tend to think that some of them were, based upon the evidence that the intelligence service has collected. But I would never call their home a compound. It isn't right. And I don't think you should either, and I don't think people who wrote this should either. But I'm going to read it just like it's written, because I don't want to be accused of taking anything out of context, which I never did. You all know that. Attorney Jones sent investigators to London last year to present these ranking members of a right-wing paramilitary group, Force 8, to bomb components believed to have been used in the Oklahoma bombing. At the time, several British newspapers reported that there were a number of British links to the Oklahoma bombing. This angle was reportedly high on Jones's list of investigative leads. Additionally, the British establishment's poison pen team of Lord William Rees-Mogg and Ambrose Evans Pritchard were running around in the period leading up to the bombing, putting out advanced propaganda aimed at creating rage and paranoia among the militia groups to which McVeigh was not associated. Interviewed June 3rd, Lyndon LaRouche said that what happened at the McVeigh trial in Denver was, quote, not a real trial, end quote, but rather a showboat. It demonstrated that there is very little justice in the United States. You had so many restrictions, limitations on the trial, on the evidence, that the truth didn't come out. Everything indicates that McVeigh and those people did not have the capability of running that operation. Why don't we want to get the people who actually did it? Don't we want truth anymore? Don't we care about justice anymore? We just want to take out the nearest guy. We can say we think he did it, and therefore let's hang him, whether or not he's guilty, who may be peripheral or not to the case. This injustice, this stink of corruption has disaffected Americans to such a degree that we are becoming vulnerable to some foul ball coming in and using disaffected people to create a cover for his running terrorism against the United States. End quote. That's the end of that. It is obvious, ladies and gentlemen, that while Timothy McVeigh may have been a part of the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, he had neither the knowledge or the expertise, nor the experience, nor had he ever been in contact with anybody who ever had, to blow up that building in the manner that it was blown up. And his trial was a farce. It's like the old Soviet Union trials, where the prosecutor and the judge tell the defense what they're going to say. And so it's just a show for the public. And then when it's over, they hang the guy, whether he did it or not, and going about their business. That's what's happening. Anatoly Golitsyn was one of the highest-ranking defectors from the Soviet Union to the United States. He wrote a book, New Lies for Old. It's called New Lies for Old. That book is a classic. Even though the Soviet analysts knew what he had to say decades before. And Golitsyn has a new book out. And it's also a classic and a must-read. I've talked about it before in this broadcast. But if you've not read the old book, New Lies for Old, get it or visit a library and read it. And I'm going to give you the Barnes & Noble catalog number about Russia's dirty little secret to take over the world. And it's not just Russia's secret. Read The Perestroika Deception by Anatoly Golitsyn, his new classic, The World's Slide Towards the Second October Revolution. The author, ladies and gentlemen, is a former KGB operative, high-ranking operative, who defected in 1961. And nobody believed the story that he was telling them. The CIA didn't believe him. Nobody believed him. And though James Jesus Angleton claimed that he was a deceptive agent feeding them erroneous information. And what I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think that James Jesus Angleton was the highly placed Soviet spy in the Central Intelligence Agency that Soviet defectors have been warning us about for many years. And if you read enough about James Jesus Angleton, his extreme paranoia, or his pretended extreme paranoia of having been infiltrated, in his constant investigation of CIA employees and badgering of everyone to try to find these infiltrators, and he never found any, will tend to make you believe, as I do, that it was him. He was the one all along. And when they got a KGB operative, high-ranking, who told the truth, it was James Jesus Angleton who convinced everybody that he wasn't telling the truth. Well, all you have to do is read his testimony, ladies and gentlemen, when he first came to the United States in 1961. Read his book, Who Lies for Old, and his new book, The Perestroika Deception, The World's Slide Toward the Second October Revolution by Anatoly Golitsyn, to see that this man was telling the truth all along, and everything that he said has come true. Everything that he said would happen to this country has come true. Everything that he wrote about has happened, ladies and gentlemen. Like me, he has one of the very highest incidents of being correct than anybody else who's ever lived. And he told us what was going to happen. He told us exactly what was going to happen. He revealed perestroika as the final phase of a master plan that calls for the overthrow of communism and the transition to new democratic power structures which remain in reality communist controlled. And you can check the leaders over there and you'll see that they are. More than a decade ago, Golitsyn warned the West against the far-reaching reforms in the USSR and Eastern Europe. His 1984 book, New Lies for Old, predicted the legalization of solidarity in Poland, the democratization of Czechoslovakia, and the dismantling of the Berlin Wall. I also predicted some of those things. Now he explains the devious secret intent communists are pursuing under cover of fake reform and progress toward democracy. And if you read, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gorbachev's book, Perestroika, he as much as admitted the whole thing in there. The whole thing. You can get this book, The Perestroika Deception, by Anatoly Golitsyn, from Barnes & Noble, catalog number E145317. That's catalog number E